Hey guys, welcome to Operation PlayStation Volume 2, Episode 1. I'm one of your hosts, Dash, along with my co-host, Mr. Jeremy Braditich. How are you, dude?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing swell, bud. It is an interesting week. It is E3 week, and we're here relaunching Operation PlayStation. The perfect time to relaunch a PlayStation podcast without PlayStation present at E3.
After days of nothing but PlayStation news, PlayStation headlines, and information coming out of everything PlayStation.
This is the most flat week. Okay, so full disclosure for everybody. We did a pilot episode last week to kind of get into practice of the show, and there was more news on our unaired pilot, which is available, by the way, on Ko-fi. But it was more news available on our unaired pilot than there is this week. That's directly connected to PlayStation. Then this is going to be one of the most weirdest episodes I've ever had to record.
Yep.
But here we are. Jeremy, you're new to the scene. Please tell our lovely listeners who you are, what you do, and what Minimap is all about.
Sure. So, my name is Jeremy. I am the co-founder and managing editor of minimap.com.au, which is a website where me and a couple of friends who were, in the past, we had studied game development together. And after we graduated, we realized we didn't want to do game development, but we still love the industry and everything around games and talking about them especially. So we just started a website, got some stuff together, we started off with some podcasts first, and then we made a website to host the podcast, and then any articles we wrote. So we've been going for around 3 years now. E3 is the anniversary weekend of when we launched, because we had the brilliant idea of starting a games outlet website, the week of E3.
As everybody does.
As everyone does, and it went awful. It was so bad. We also did an unaired pilot of our very first podcast a long time ago when we started over the E3 weekend, and it was the worst podcast. We didn't even put it anywhere that people could listen to. It was terrible. We had no idea what we were doing.
Generally, you don't, but I thought that last week's show went really well.
Absolutely. Totally. So Minimap is a thing that I work on. We have a few podcasts. We've got Minimapcast, which is a weekly just games, news, general impression podcast.
Beautiful,
we've got a game club, like a book club, but for games, podcast called the Game Spoilers Podcast. We did an episode 2 weeks ago about a game called The Occupation, and we got we got an episode coming out within the next 2 weeks about Oxenfree.
Oh, fantastic. I love Oxenfree.
Which is cool. Yeah, I've never played it. And we decided we were going to do it before they announced the sequel, which is cool. So I was like, well, what better time to do it than right now? So
that's perfect.
Yeah, that should be coming out quite soon as well.
Very, very cool. So I guess we've been over housekeeping now for Jezz and Minimap there. For dashgamer.com, we've got a few things out at the moment. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade review is now live thanks to the kind folks over at Bandai Namco, as well as Guilty Gear Strive and World's End Club. They provided all of those titles for us to review. They're all live right now. Thanks to the kind folk over at PlayStation Australia, I got to sit down with Ratchet & Clank and review that title, and I also got to discuss it last week during our pilot, which will be included in this episode with Jeremy. But thanks once again to PlayStation Australia, who provided the review code on that one. And some exciting news, we launched the Xbox show, which is live right now on dashgamer.com. It's a co-production with attackongeek.com. Diana and Tom from Attack on Geek host that show. I do the editing magic inside. You'll see it's a very similar structure in terms of how the show looks in comparison to the rest of the podcast here on dashgamer.com. But would love it if you guys head on over to dashgamer.com right now. Check out the Xbox show. Jump over to iTunes, Apple Podcasts as it's called now. Give it a 5-star rating and help us out on that. But guys, if you didn't know, because I forgot to say it at the start before I jumped into housekeeping, everything's out of order and I'm out of practice. This is Operation PlayStation, dashgamer.com's dedicated PlayStation podcast, where we dive deep and dirty and discover what the latest and greatest PlayStation have to offer, including everything that's out in 2021 and E3, for the love of God. There was nothing for PlayStation directly, but we're still going to talk about E3. Don't forget to follow us over on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Give us those cheeky 5-star ratings. They surely help us out. And also catch the VOD over on dashgamer.com and on YouTube. Subscribe, hit that bell, give us a like, leave us a comment. It surely helps us out. Jezz, we're not going to waste any more time. Let's jump into the news. All right, Jezz, the first bit of news comes by way of James Berwick over at Press Start, who says all of Xbox and Bethesda's E3 2021 announcements. Yeah, we're going to be talking about Xbox.
Yep, we almost can't talk about PlayStation this week, so we might as well.
It coincides with it. They're the direct competition. We're going to give our perspective on what happened with Xbox. And to be completely honest, it's one of those things where the reason we are talking about it is... I'll get to that in a second. So I'm gonna kind of summarize it a little bit, but then we're gonna kind of go into a bit of a discussion about our concerns. So, Starfield was shown off at the conference and was announced as an Xbox exclusive at launch,
and was leaked on Washington Post about half an hour before the conference.
Exactly. Yeah, November 11th, 2022 was the announcement. There was a stuff up on a couple of release dates that were put out there. They were like November 11th, 2021, and I was like, that's a bit close. So lucky, there was one that got it right, which was Washington Post. It was November 11th, 2022. That's coming out. Any thoughts on the announcement there, Jezz?
Not really. This is sort of in line with, I think, what most people were expecting, or most people who know how these games work were expecting, rather. A lot of people were like, some people were saying like, oh, it's going to shadow drop. Like, no. Yeah. But yeah, it looks cool. I don't know. I'm interested to see what Bethesda do with like a new property. With, like, obviously it's from the people from Fallout and the Elder Scrolls. I'm interested to see what they can do with like a new setting. I'm going to say that I'm kind of... This isn't in my realm. Like, I don't know whether I'm excited for this or not. I am very critical of Bethesda titles. I've always been. I kind of think that they're a little jank. Like, they've always been... They've always been... Yeah, look, I know, but it's just one of those things where... I mean, look at Fallout. Prime example. And the thing is, they've always had an allure. They've always kind of encroached people in their titles. And like Starfield's teaser really looks great, but we still don't know what the hell this game is about. Yep. So cool, I guess. Yeah, like I'm not the biggest fan of the Fallout games that were Todd Howard developed. My favorite Fallout was always New Vegas, which was the one that he had nothing to do with.
That's right.
And so I know that I'm not going to finish this game because I never finish any of the games that studio makes. But like I'll fall into it for about 10 hours and then accidentally forget about it one day and never go back.
I think we're both in the same boat on that one, that's for sure, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so the following announcements as well. Halo Infinite got a story trailer and a multiplayer reveal trailer. Cool. We're still waiting for this game. Like, it was supposed to be launched day and date with the console. It's obviously pushed back. I mean, it looks good. I'm excited for it, but I believe that the best looking game to come out of this conference was the next one, which was Forza Horizon 5.
Yep. Absolutely.
I love the franchise. I love Forza so much, man. It's the only reason I still have an Xbox sitting on my cabinet. What are your thoughts?
Like just really quick jumping back. I think the new Halo looks like really cool. Like I'm a huge Halo guy, so like I'm super excited for it. And the multiplayer being like both PC and Xbox as well as free, I think is really great for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Forza Horizon 5 just looks absolutely stunning. So what I've read from people like Jeff Grubb online is that they were not like that. The new Forza Motorsport, which usually what happens is they go Forza Horizon, Forza Motorsport, Forza Horizon, Forza Motorsport. The new Forza Motorsport is not going to be on the... No, well, like they're reworking it to make it only on the series platforms, whereas Horizon is going to come out on the Xbox One. So they're taking extra time to work on that to make it a really truly next gen Forza game. And then Horizon, they can sort of like sort of put out there, like, look, Forza fans, here's another one. You'll love it. It's in Mexico. It looks gorgeous. You're going to have a great time with it. While the Forza Motorsport team is working on their truly next-gen Forza game.
Yeah.
Which I think is a really interesting way to do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just looks great. Like, it just looks absolutely incredible.
It's stunning. It really is. Every Forza Horizon always manages to drop my jaw every time they reveal it. It leaves me awestruck, absolutely awestruck. And this was no different. I really believe, it's going to show true potential. It's going to show the true potential of the Series X and its hardware and its capabilities. Because I really believe that we haven't seen that yet. Really, there are a lot of titles that have been put out on Series X that do a substantial job at presenting, performance enhancements to titles that are, shared between each Xbox unit, the 1 to the S to whatever, the X and Series S and whatever. But this title looks to push the boundaries and really push the hardware itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I'm really excited. Forza Horizon, as always, man. Honestly, I love Horizon over the Motorsport series, so that really got me excited when they announced Horizon, because I wasn't expecting, like, obviously you do the math and you go, oh, okay, so this year will be a Motorsport, but when they announced Horizon, I was like, oh, this is awesome. So we're getting 2 years of Horizon, okay. And then when they said, Motorsport's not ready, here's Horizon 5, I was like, ooh. And then I was like, ooh, is that good or bad? Are they going to rush this to market? But I don't believe that.
I don't think they will either.
No.
Like, they've got that formula. They've been working on, like, live ops for that game for a while. Adding that battle royale mode, and I don't see any indicators here that this is going to be an unfinished product. So like, I'm pretty confident it should be good when it comes out. I
believe so too, man. Age of Empires 4 got a day and date. Also, it's not Game Pass though, so. Oh well, and that's the other thing we're going to bring up as well. A lot of these titles that we're talking about today are Game Pass, and
yeah, there was like 4 that wasn't, or something, 4 or 5.
Yeah,
that wasn't.
yeah. Like almost every single title here had a Game Pass label on it. We'll get back to that because that's a topic that I want to bring up, especially connected to an article. That's for sure. That's actually connected to this. So the following after that is Redfall. This one surprised a lot of people.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What was your giveaway from Redfall?
I love the style of it. It's hard because it is like a cinematic trailer, and so I don't know what the game is going to look like. Arcane have made similar types, like a similar type of game for quite a while, so I have a general idea of what that game is going to be.
Yeah.
Some like immersive sim style first-person shooter. And it was a really good trailer. Like a great diverse like cast of characters.
Yeah.
The 39th vampire game to be announced at this E3.
Yeah.
But like still like it looks really great. And I'm excited to see what that game actually looks like.
Yeah.
The 2022 release date was, I think, the most surprising thing of it, because that's really not that far away, relatively speaking, to an announcement.
Yeah, it's ambitious, especially for something that's just brand new and out of the gate. But it's Arcane, and they've got a good reputation. So
they do.
For me, it's promising, because that could also indicate that this has been in development for quite some time without anybody knowing. And that's amazing. A game that's been in development, and especially during a pandemic, these kind of things leak, or would have leaked during a pandemic, but surprisingly, we hadn't heard nothing. We hadn't heard anything about this until today, and it's like, hey, this is freaking awesome. So,
yeah, totally.
Yeah, I'm down, and yeah, once again, Game Pass. It's man, that's killer. So once again, vampire game as well. A lot of those this C3, that's for sure, man.
Yep.
Moving on, one that surprised me, The Outer Worlds 2.
Surprised me too. Yeah.
What the hell?
I don't know.
Yeah. So there's a sequel coming from The Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds is an amazing game. A lot of people that love Fallout love Outer Worlds, obviously, for obvious reasons. And we're getting a sequel already.
it seems really soon, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Kind of like there was there DLC coming out for that game last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, like it was still it was an announcement of a game. There was no gameplay in it. It was just like a funny cinematic.
Yeah.
So like it's obviously like still going to be pretty early on. I wasn't aware Outer Worlds did well enough that they would have greenlit another one. Though I didn't.
Oh, sorry, go on.
I just I didn't see like a whole I remember like when that game came out, a lot of people were playing it, but I feel like after the first couple weeks of it coming out, like a lot of people dropped off, like myself as well, which I was really excited for this game.
The buzz faded fast, yeah.
Yeah, and I was because like I said before, Fallout New Vegas is my favorite Fallout game, and a really genuinely good RPG. And I was like, cool, another RPG from people who made New Vegas. And I didn't love this one as much as I love New Vegas.
Well, the thing is, it was critically acclaimed, and I believe that kind of pushed it into marginally a campaign overdrive, and then afterwards that obviously made it a resounding success. So. Yeah. Outer Worlds 2 is promising just as the first one. Well, at least we hope it is. It's going to be as promising as the first. And the thing is, like, once again, it's one of those things where I believe they're kind of now investing into this franchise because that's what it's become now. It's a franchise. And they're going to be like, okay, we can make this baby a long term and go ahead and even improve on everything about Outer Worlds in its sequel. And then probably for the long term, hold on to number 2 and develop, DLC and whatever and keep that around because it'll be the perfect vision that they had for Outer Worlds 1.
Yeah, like I think that's the most exciting thing about it is like looking at everything that they learned from Outer Worlds 1 and then like doubling down on the good stuff and then like, reworking some of the stuff that didn't work as well. Like I'm excited to see another better version of that game. Totally.
What do you think of the teaser that they showed? It's vague. Like in terms of like what I saw of it, I was like, what am I looking at? And then when I only understood it when like it kind of zoomed out and showed Outer Worlds, I was like, man, it's kind of different than the first, like in terms of what they were trying to kind of spin on it because it looked very much like a Halo in outer space at one point.
Kinda. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like if they make Outer Worlds like an anthology game where the first one is completely different from the second one, like, hey, I'm down for that.
Same.
Like, I'm so down for like spins on franchises to make them different every iteration. Like, I'm interested in that.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah. That's just false hope afterwards if it's just let yourselves down. But moving on from that one, Microsoft Flight Simulator's coming to. We knew about this. Like this was one of Microsoft's worst kept secrets, to be honest. We knew that Flight Simulator was coming to Xbox. Very excited. It will be on Game Pass as well. It is already available on Game Pass, but for PC. But for Xbox Series X on July 27th. Have you played Flight Sim?
So I recently got into Flight Sim like a month ago. I played it when it came out, but recently they put out an update on PC that when you update the game, it actually reduces the file size by more than half.
Yeah.
And I looked at that going, it's literally worth my time to go and update that to free up like 80 gig of hard drive space.
Yeah.
And then I jumped in and I've got a notebook somewhere around here that has like I've been going through the tutorials and like writing down notes on like how to fly and stuff. It's fun. It's a sim. So like you have to be in the right headspace for it, but like it's really fun.
I love it.
Yeah.
Like, I think that it's honestly one of the greatest simulation experiences that I've ever had to, just even the fact like you could put it into cruise control, go make yourself a coffee, come back, sip your coffee while looking at the screen and going, looks clear, that's fine.
Yep.
You really feel like you're a pilot.
A little bit, yeah. And it's also great, like living in Melbourne, being able to like, launch off like Melbourne Airport, go over down to like, and then fly over roughly where my house is because I can't quite tell from like whatever direction I'm coming from. But I'm like, and I think that's me, and then I'm gone. The novelty has not worn off yet.
No, not at all. I don't. It's going to take a long time before that novelty wears off. Especially the fact that you can travel anywhere around the world and experience it. Well, the thing is to experience weather conditions and everything else in real time. Oh man, what a dream. What a dream. So this is excellence coming to Xbox for sure. So anybody who hasn't played Flight Simulator, that is a must, especially the fact that if you have Game Pass, if you don't, I don't know why you wouldn't have Game Pass on your Xbox.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, exactly. But if you have Game Pass, that is, you have no excuse. You need to have that one. This one's going to be an interesting one because I'm going to be bringing it up later in relation to PlayStation. But Stalker 2.
Yes.
What were your thoughts about this?
It was I thought it was a really cool trailer.
Yeah.
Really intense, but like really well cut together. Obviously, but very Russian and not like crappy like American doing Russian accent Russian, which I was so glad about.
Yeah.
It was a really cool trailer. I am not familiar at all with the Stalker series, so I'm not looking at this going, oh, it's like the first one. Like I genuinely don't know anything about the first one.
Yeah.
But this trailer did at least intrigue me to, play it day one on Game Pass, right?
Yeah, exactly. Same. I'll be honest though, it kind of threw me off that they put this near the beginning of the entire conference. I would have thought that this would have been somewhere in the middle or something like that. But it really got kind of like a little bit of a push for it being, right at the beginning. And then when I saw the gameplay, I was very impressed. But again, just walking away from it, I was like, man, it's great that they've got that, but they've also now, they're really trying to promote the fact that they've got the entire lineup of Doom on Game Pass coming, which is just freaking insane.
Yeah.
And then Call of Duty is going to be out soon as well. It's going to be one of those things where this game, the Stalker 2, will have a lot of competition. But it's great to see that Xbox very confident behind this third-party title that they would put it in what it was touted really as first-party presentation and lineup. Very, very, very cool. I like what I'm seeing of it. So
totally. Same.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really cool when it does come out. The next one was Back 4 Blood. I'll be honest with you. I'm one of those people, I don't really give a shit about the, these titles at all. What are your thoughts?
This looks like the closest thing to Left 4 Dead 3 that we're ever going to get. So that's why I'm excited for it.
That's what a lot of people are excited, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other ones have come and gone. And I think this one looks like to be the one that might actually stick around.
Yeah.
In some meaningful way, which is why I'm excited.
Yeah.
That and like the Game Pass day one for it is really going to help its player numbers.
Yeah.
Like dramatically. Like the barrier to entry for a game like that needs to be quite low.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the things that it was one of the reasons Evolve I think really struggled with at the beginning was that the player base was just not really there. And like having it on Game Pass day one kind of just basically guarantees it a minimum amount of players.
Yeah.
Which is like I'm really excited for it.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it looks
cool.
really fun.
What about the next one, Contraband? See, this was one that I was like, okay, that's cool. It looks like this heist title is now finally, coming. There was some rumors that there was this heist game coming and whatever. Now it's being revealed called Contraband. And yeah, we'll be on Game Pass as well. There wasn't much to gauge off this trailer. It was just like, here's a logo.
Yeah, not really.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just one of those things where I was like, okay, cool filler. I like the concept, but you got to show me something because that's kind of like, So.
Yeah, and like Avalanche have been pretty hit and miss over a while. So like, I need a little bit more proof from that one. I don't know, like it had Steely Dan in the trailer, which is a big plus for me. But like,
yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the next one. They're again doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on Sea of Thieves, and not only that, they're bringing now like a Pirate's Life expansion pack with Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yes. You don't sound very excited.
Well, I got a bit of a mixed history with Pirates of the Caribbean. It started off great, and then the series kind of nosedived in, It was like, whatever. I don't give a shit about this series anymore. But the fact that they're kind of trying to revitalize it through Sea of Thieves, I was expecting this. I have been waiting for them to be like, okay, let's put Captain Jack Sparrow in Sea of Thieves. Now it's happening.
Yep.
And I'll be honest, I'm kind of pessimistic.
Pessimistic?
I am pessimistic. And the reason...
Talk through it. I want to know why.
Well, I don't know where they're going to go with this in terms of like, okay, cool, it's a campaign. Is it a campaign? A multiplayer campaign? Are we going through a campaign? Is this supposed to be a campaign? Are we... And who is writing this campaign? Is it going to be strictly the Sea of Thieves team? Are they going to be controlling the Pirates IP through this? Is it going to be faithful? Because a lot of fans of Pirates of the Caribbean have been let down by some shoddy creative that has gone into the franchise. And I don't want to see something that I loved so much. Pirates of the Caribbean was a great franchise when it started, but yeah, like I said, when it nosedived, I was let down by it, man. I don't want to see it be let down again. But I am excited to see it. I am. And I'm really happy that they've kind of made this dream scenario a reality and they're actually bringing the Pirates world into Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
It's just, let's see how it plays out.
Yeah. Like, so I was actually playing Sea of Thieves about 2 weeks ago with some friends. We just jumped in just because we had like an hour free, and we're like, let's just do some dumb missions and mess around on the high seas. Yeah. And while we were talking about it, I was like, man, if they just put some of the Pirates of the Caribbean music in this, that would be the best. That would be so good. And then 2 weeks later, we get an announcement that Pirates of the Caribbean is, and I was like, sitting there going like, okay, all right, that's one monkey finger down in the monkey paw. Like, what can I summon next? But I don't think the single players, because there is like story stuff in there already in Sea of Thieves. Yeah. I don't think that stuff is particularly great. I think it's fine. But it's told in a weird way, and it's a little bit out of the way. So it's if they really double down on like guiding you through like a really good pirate experience, then this will be really great. Yeah. If it's just the music and the characters on various islands, like that's a bit disappointing. But the only thing I ever wanted from this experience was just the music. Yeah. So anything else for me is kind of gravy.
Is a plus. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So following up from that, we got the announcement that had already been leaked, which was Yakuza Like a Dragon was coming to Xbox Game Pass along with, the other part of the franchise. The entire franchise is now available on Xbox, which is insane to think about due to the fact that it's a Sega property. Yeah. And, all the rumors of Persona 5 Royal making its way to Xbox last week was just kind of like, okay. I'm nervous now. As a PlayStation gamer, I'm like, oh man, if it does become a reality, the fact that they're getting Persona, it's great. Like I wrote that article, like I said, it's great, but oh man, that's nerve-wracking. It's really nerve-wracking because it's starting to become, it's a precipice for what's to come, and that is concerning. And like, I'm just concerned as a PlayStation gamer. But one of the bigger announcements was Battlefield 2042. We got a gameplay trailer and a date, October 22nd, 2021. Thoughts?
Like, yeah, like I'm not a huge Battlefield person, but like I'll give it a go. I'm excited to see. Hopefully at EA Play they'll do their like, here's a full half an hour block of one match. Yeah. Like that I'm more interested in than a cut trailer. Yeah, I think it's hard to do a trailer for Battlefield because it's all about like the entire match as opposed to like just those like Battlefield moments that they keep talking about. Yep. But looks pretty. Maps look good.
I agree with everything you've just said. I pretty much would agree with your sentiments. Yeah. It looks pretty, looks good, futuristic, thumbs up. They're getting out of that whole World War I mentality now and actually going forward with the series. I think it's best off that they did. So I'm glad to see that Battlefield kind of coming back to modern day warfare, basically. The next one was James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, and Willem Dafoe game. 12 minutes. It's the game where there's some guys stuck in a time loop.
Yeah, so like this has been around for a while. This game has been it's done the PAX loop for a good long while, but only now have they really started to like, yep, okay, cool, this is coming out. Like we are getting close to like really putting the bow on this. They announced last year that Daisy Ridley, Willem Dafoe, and James McAvoy are going to be in it. That is like an incredible cast.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for this game. This game looks like it's going to tear me to shreds.
Yeah, I think it'll be an emotionally jarring game. I think if anything, the juxtaposition and contrast will definitely weigh heavy on people's emotions. Yeah, I think it's enticing. It's exciting. I definitely want to play it. I love those kind of arty-farty, out of nowhere kind of games. I mean, there are a few that make me go, ugh, but this one looked great. I love anything to do with time as well. So,
right,
yeah, I love the idea of it. I don't care about this one as many people are making a fuss about it. Double Fine Psychonauts 2 is getting a release date August 25th, 2021. Do you care?
I haven't played the first one. I like 3D platformers, so I should.
Yeah.
But I haven't actually played the first one.
I'll be honest with you. It's fine. It's Double Fine. It's fine. Look, I'm not the biggest fan of the first one. To be honest, I think that I have a love-hate relationship with a lot of Tim Schafer's games,
Right.
and I believe that like he's had some great ideas and concepts. His execution to me has been lackluster. But again, we're talking a small studio that I believe gets kind of overhyped and oversold consistently. Every time they try and make a game, it's like, here's this big AAA come from Double Fine. It's not a AAA. It's an indie studio. Don't overpromise and overhype it, because then people like me understand, oh man, there's going to be a big one, and then when we play it, it's like, no, it's not. So that's my issue whenever I see a Double Fine game. I'm like, am I going to get let down by this one? So who knows? When I play it, I'll see how. I'll keep my emotions in check. I'll keep my expectations in check, and we'll see what happens anyway. Doom Eternal is getting a next-gen update as well. Mr. Hines was on stage and expressed his gratitude towards Mr. Spencer for giving him big loads of cash to upgrade the Doom franchise and make it completely available on Xbox Game Pass. Man, I can't believe that the entire lineup is now on Xbox.
It's wild how like just like that acquisition alone just dramatically increased the quality of that service. Not that it already wasn't great, like it was already really good, and then the fact that it's like all of those Bethesda games are now there, that is just like, it's just the best value for money in the entire industry at this moment.
It really is. It really is. Like you pay, how much is it? Like I think Ultimate's $14.99 a month at the moment. Game Pass Ultimate is not $14.99 a month. Whereas
I think it's a little bit more because it comes with gold.
There you go. So
yeah,
it could be $20, just under $20 a month. So maybe $19.99. But man, just the fact that now you can actually get that. And then speaking of Bethesda, Fallout 76 getting 2 new major updates. That were shown off on stage as well. Both expansions are available for free to players of Fallout 76. Steel Rain, which launches July 7th. And then there's going to be another one, which is called The Pit, not out until 2022. So obviously The Pit, with the double T, is based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But yeah, I mean, look, man, there's an issue right now with Fallout 76 where it's still kind of, they're still supporting it, but its fan base is just torn. It's torn because they don't know whether to trust it or not.
Yeah, and I feel like they have made some, like, a lot of well-meaning good steps towards making it a better game. They have misstepped along the way, but I think for the most part their heart is in the right place.
I agree.
But I feel like a lot of the time every time they show off Fallout 76, they have to try and convince people to give it a go. Yeah. More so than other games because of how rough that game launched. Yeah. It was difficult. It's difficult now for them to say, like, you know, like a similar story is No Man's Sky, but this one is having even more of an issue, having to go forward and say like, okay, hey, give it a go, trust us, we've put a lot of work into it. You know, you'll have a really good time in it now. I feel like every time they show off, they're trying to make the case for people to give the game a download. So I don't know.
Were they selling anything though with even the pit? Like, oh man, I know it's so far away, but
yeah,
it looked rough from even just looking at the teaser. Like, I know that they're trying to basically sell you air right now, and to me, it's like, okay, that's cool. You've put something in front of me that looks like something out of 2005. To be completely honest, why do I want to invest in Fallout 76 again?
I'll be completely honest. While I was watching it, while I was watching that reveal, I was like, "Oh, did they remaster Fallout 3?"
That's what everybody said. New Vegas.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, like that'll be really cool." And then they said it was like more Fallout 76. I was like, "Oh, okay." But
yeah,
like,
exactly.
It did look like one of the older ones, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
So it's attached to 76. So everybody's just like, "Oh." The next one was Party Animals. This one looks like. What was it? It was the other
Gang Beasts.
That's a Gang Beast, yeah. It's just basically furry Gang Beasts.
Yeah, and it looks really fun.
Great. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I love Gang Beasts.
Trailer. Yeah, so, totally.
Yeah. That's the crux of it. There's not much else to get into on that one. Hades is coming to Xbox as well, which will be on Game Pass August 13th. Yeah. Holy shit! What an announcement! And then Somerville. What?
What a cool looking game.
Yes, I am excited for this one. What did you take away? What did you take away from it?
It looked, I don't know, like, so I have this thing where, like, if you show me a science fiction story where there's a giant shape, like I'm already in, like Destiny, Halo, like Control, like just like big shapes, give me big stark objects in the middle of the sky.
Yeah,
this looks like that, but like this looks sort of like it's a little bit inside, it's a little bit plated. Yeah. But I want to say that the people that are making this game are plated people. Yes. It says in the article actually from some of the mines I brought you, Limbo.
There you go. It looks it.
It looks it, and it like that is a medal that it will be wearing leading up to release. So I'm really excited to see what this game is.
I agree. It's a good indicator that this is going to be quality. That's for sure.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I adored Limbo. I thought it was a great artistic story that conveyed, such emotion. And this already is, the teaser itself, I've got it up on the screen, is already kind of like trying to just tug at those heartstrings as well. So it's definitely going to be one of those games that a lot of people invest their time in and really, really enjoy and dissect. I believe there's going to be like about 50 YouTubers doing Let's Plays and trying to dissect it and all that kind of stuff. Diablo 2 Resurrected, a remaster, complete overhaul of the original Diablo 2 is getting released on September 23rd. Okay. For me, it's like, that's cool. A Plague Tale Requiem, a sequel to A Plague Tale. Incredible game. I did not expect A Plague Tale when I got it in my inbox, thanks to the kind folk over at 5-Star. I didn't expect it to be such an awesome game, and it was. Right. Have you played it?
No, I have a copy of it sitting in my bookshelf. one of the many games that I own and didn't get around to actually playing.
The backlog.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you now, you have to play it. It is so good. Such an awesome story, great gameplay. Like, it's not the most polished game in the world, but from what you take away from it, fantastic game. One of the best of that. I believe it was 2019.
Right. Okay.
So I want to say it was 2019. So one of the best games of that year.
Cool.
For sure. So yeah, definitely have to play that one. Far Cry 6 got more gameplay footage. Giancarlo Esposito. Like, everybody's like, "Oh my god, isn't that the guy from Breaking Bad?" What'd you take away from this one?
I'm glad that we finally got to see some Far Cry 6 gameplay in this E3. I didn't think we had enough in the previous 6 conferences. Like the trailer they showed on the Xbox conference was the best of the Far Cry 6 trailers that I saw. That was the one that made me want to play it the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's a fun trailer. When you cut trailers to music, it turns out they're really enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
It looks fine.
How funny is it that Xbox got a better trailer than the Ubisoft presentation?
I can't believe it. I can't believe that happened. Like, Ubisoft have had 2 events now where they'd show off Far Cry. They had their initial Far Cry reveal and then the Ubisoft E3 presser.
Yeah.
And both of those, I was like, yeah.
It looks alright.
Yeah, it looks fine. Looks like another one.
Yeah.
Whereas that one, like the Xbox, I was like, hey, that looks fun. That
Yeah.
looks like I'm going to have a fun time playing this video game.
Yeah, it's all about the promotion and the campaign and the way you kind of structure it. And that's honestly what they did. They had obviously a competent editor to promote the game, and even just popped up on screen, blow shit up on there. It's like, yes.
Yeah.
So for I agree. For me, it was like, okay, even Jeff Keighley's presentation had a little snippet. But even then, I was like, I don't care. This is too slow. So, no, they did a really good job promoting it on Xbox, that's for sure. Did you expect Shredders to be here?
No, I didn't at all.
Yeah, so Shredders is back.
I guess.
And is getting a December 2021 release. It is also coming to Game Pass. Extreme Games, yo. Sliding down hills of snow, yo. Oh yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, like I'm not into these games, so
Never
like
mind.
it they just sort of miss me.
Yeah. Soviet era action RPG Atomic Heart was shown. This looks good.
Yeah. This has been around for a couple of years now.
Another Russian game, just take out the vampires.
Yep. And like give me like BioShock-esque, really messed up like Simon Stalenhag like robot apocalypse.
Yeah.
I'm into it. I'm really into it.
Same, man. It looks good. Replaced. This looks awesome. I like the cyberpunk-esque aesthetic. I like that it's working with a 3D field of vision with 2D kind of platforming street brawler kind of deal as well. I really love it. I think that this is going to be one of my favorite games to come out in 2022 for sure. What do you think?
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, like Blade Runner 2049 is one of my favorite movies ever. Yeah. So like I am like I'm into this. This just looks great. It looks totally cool.
Yeah, the design is awesome. So I can't wait to see that one. Mushrooms, sorry, the Shroom and Doom update. So I couldn't take away much that kind of made me go, oh, Grounded is here again. What do you think of this?
Yeah, like when they showed it off last year, it was, I remember a bunch of my friends and I, like we jumped in because it was released on early access just after its announcement. So we all jumped in and it was really rough. It was a really rough game on launch, on early access launch. Yeah. It was really hard and punishing, and the spiders were absolutely fucking terrifying. And they showed more, even scarier spiders in this. And so I feel like for this, I'm just going to wait until they like put a 1.0 on it before I jump back in, because doing a game where you're investing hours and hours into crafting and resource management for a glitch to come along and and mess you up it's really disheartening. Yeah. So I might just wait until they're happy to say that it's a finished product.
I agree with you. Among Us is coming to consoles on Game Pass. That's huge, especially given the fact that it's become the most played or downloaded game on Steam.
Yep.
Oh boy. Yeah. See, really, this is a funny story of a title that got released and then coming to prominence way later than anticipated, and the fact now that it's down the line getting additional content and expanding further. So the baseline game, you have 10 players at the same time. Now 15-player lobbies will be included in an online update for PC and will be included on Xbox. Yep. This is okay, so two things. This is awesome. And the other thing that I would have said was, okay, now I understand why Xbox wanted Discord.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but this is amazing. So June 15th, what's this? So June 15th, the game will eventually expand to support 15-player lobbies on June 15th. It's also not only coming to Xbox, but also Game Pass. So there's no date there connected to it, but I thought there was a date, but anyway, it's there, it's coming, and you're getting it on Game Pass. Holy shit. The following is the Weeby one. Eiyuden Chronicle, 100 Heroes. This is the Octopath Traveler clone.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's as much as I got out of this. What do you think?
I looked at that after the trailer came out, and when the trailer finished and the next one began, I immediately forgot about it. It doesn't.
It's
they don't stick in
Octopath.
my mind at all. Yeah.
Project Octopath Traveler.
Yeah.
Good on you. And the Ascent.
Yeah. This one looked interesting. I'm not blown away by it at all. I'm not a big twin stick shooter person.
Neither am I.
I don't know.
It's a top down. It's one of those top down ones. It's like whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, just what's the next trailer? So obviously, this is a little bit out of order. The press start lineup is a little bit out of order, but that was pretty much the conference. And then at the end, they had a little surprise, which was they're actually releasing an Xbox mini fridge in the shape of an Xbox Series X, which I want.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully I'll pre-order one of those as well. Stick a few of my Pepsi Maxes in there. Should be good.
Like what you're hearing today? Be sure to follow all Dash Gamer podcasts on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify by simply typing dashgamer.com into the search bar of your favorite podcast provider. And don't forget to check out our gaming, anime, and pop culture related news on dashgamer.com. Now back to the show.
To connect into that, there's a few articles here that I've got. So this one comes by way of Sammy Barker over at Push Square, who talks about something that's interesting. Back for Blood, A Plague Tale, Requiem will be full price on PS5 and PS4. No extra cost with Game Pass on Xbox. So I'm not gonna read the entire thing, but basically the full retail price that's attached to them is obviously $69.99 USD. For each title, and that's been confirmed. So, this is where it starts to get concerning for PlayStation. Should we be concerned as PlayStation players? If you're not as lucky as us, who have Xbox consoles as well, who keep their alignment contained to PlayStation solely as PlayStation, or as people call those people, Sony ponies. What should we be concerned?
I mean, I think it's getting
It's getting heated.
It's getting a little bit heated. I think the concern is actually going to start to come around when stuff like Starfield, when stuff like Elder Scrolls 6 actually start to come out. Because they're gonna be missing out entirely at that point. It is as someone who very infrequently gets games early and gets codes and stuff. I'm still buying most of the games that I'm doing for coverage. I am buying more and more on Xbox, either because I'm not buying it because it's already on Game Pass.
Yep.
Or I'm buying it on Xbox because it's a little bit easier for me to play the Series X version a lot of the time, and oftentimes PlayStation are now charging more for their games, and Xbox are charging a subscription price. We got into this a little bit in episode 0, but it is difficult because they are now playing two different games, and they are competing against each other, but not even directly anymore. It's like a proxy war at this point.
It really is.
They're sending out different different options to the consumer in a way that one is getting a whole lot more enticing than the other one. The other one being PlayStation. So it is a little bit concerning for people that have a PS5 that bought it knowing that they didn't want to get an Xbox Series X. They made a choice on that, and then finding that they're going to be charged more for products on this platform than on the Xbox platform it would be a shame for them, because if they can't afford to have both consoles, then they're going to start to miss out on some good experiences.
I agree, and that's the thing. It's now to a point where, because Starfield is now an exclusive to Xbox, and they've kind of stripped away access of the title from PlayStation completely, because you got to believe that there was a development cycle put in there for the title to make its way to PS5. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and now that's being kind of ripped from them as a direct. Honestly, it would have been a directive from Spencer himself to kind of say, "There's no reason for you guys to be developing Starfield for PlayStation anymore. Just kind of stick it to Xbox and Microsoft platforms." And and now we're at that point now where this is going to become the norm of a lot of Bethesda titles as well going forward.
Yeah.
And once that becomes the norm, oh boy, here we go. A war is on, because PlayStation need to now up the ante and realize that their service like PS Now is tiny in comparison.
It's not cutting it.
No, the Xbox Game Pass is grandiose. It is enigmatic in terms of what you can get.
Yeah.
Compared to, and then afterwards, oh yeah, did you play so and so on PlayStation the other day? Why would I pay $70 retail for an Australian? Why would I pay $120 retail on a title that I can just install off Game Pass that I'm paying less for per year for access to a library?
Yep. Yeah.
Where is this making sense?
And the recently what happened is I was playing a game called Genesis Noir, which is like a really cool like little indie game about like jazz and stuff, and I was really into it, and I was like, I played it on Switch, and I was like, oh, like this is really cool, and I was really digging it.
Yeah.
And then I went on my computer and I saw that it was on Game Pass day one, and I just didn't do my due diligence to look to see if I already technically had access to this game, which I totally did. Yeah. And I was like, shit. But like what it meant was then I can go to my friends saying, hey, I play this game on Switch. You should play this game. It's on Game Pass. Just go download it and give it a go. Yeah. And that tiny barrier to entry is getting more and more people to play games, because they don't have to worry about like, am I going to spend $80 on something that I might not like? Yeah. Am I going to spend, like a bunch of time on a game that I'm not going to enjoy after I've already spent money on it? Like if it's a really long game, the window of refund starts to shrink as time goes on. Like all of this stuff, especially for people who don't have a whole lot of disposable income, all that stuff like is a factor. Yeah. And Game Pass allows people to try a game. Yeah. Like they can play a game once, decide they don't like it, and delete it, and they have lost literally nothing but however much time they spent playing the game.
Correct. No, there's no monetary loss in it. Like, that's the thing. Again, because obviously being a former employee of EB Games, you understand that the refund policy there is very much... What a refund policy you guys had there.
Yeah, like it got better. Yeah. Like for some games you got 2 weeks, which is a lot of time. Yeah. But like it
essentially makes it a video easy.
Kinda, yeah. A lot of people did use it as a rental, which is hilarious. Yeah.
But it's one of those things. You purchase a game, if you don't enjoy it, you've spent $120 on it. If you don't make that cutoff for a refund, right, which you're entitled to from EB Games, you've just wasted $120, right? Whereas that $120 could be invested in Game Pass Vanilla. We'll say Game Pass Vanilla, $100 a year, right?
Yep.
And guess what? You haven't wasted money. You've basically said, okay, I've only wasted like 10 minutes on this game, and I'm not connecting. Delete, install another game off Game Pass, and I'll be good.
Yeah.
PlayStation gamers don't have that luxury.
Nope.
And
not at all. And
we discussed this last week as well. While PlayStations are selling at a loss, there hasn't been a reported income. There hasn't been a reported profit for Game Pass just yet, because they haven't actually reported profits for Game Pass just yet. So we don't know whether they are actually making profit or a loss yet. But to suggest that they would be making a loss right now, I don't know, Jezz. It seems like Xbox is really riding a wave of success right now that I kind of would find it hard to believe that this is all coming in at a loss. The only thing I would see them saying, we lost a little bit of money on our purchase of Bethesda, but we've already made it back in Game Pass sales, in subscriptions.
Yeah, like it's hard to tell because quantifying that is really difficult. There's a industry analysis on Twitter named Matt Piscatella who has like every week he puts out like a really great roundup. And what he was saying that is from his findings, Game Pass is actually creating market as opposed to cannibalizing or pre-existing markets.
Yeah,
which is like. That is one of the most impressive things that I've heard about Game Pass. For them to actually introduce new players to become regular gamers is a really, really impressive feat that they've done.
Yeah.
And, you know, just before the conference, I think like a week before Xbox showed off their stuff, they announced that they were working on like a streaming stick for Game Pass and xCloud.
And it'll be
for
built
TVs.
into TVs.
Built into TV. Like that is... I mean, well, like first of all, that's a bullet in the head of Stadia.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, this is like that is the future of that platform. It's you know, if you want to play them on your console, we have the box for you to download them. But if you have good enough internet and you just want to stream it, we're going to give you that option as well.
That's incredible.
And it is going to open up Game Pass to so many people. Because the overhead is just going to get smaller and smaller and smaller.
A lot of PlayStation gamers would refute this or rebut it with, this is just Xbox swallowing up more studios to monopolize the market.
I think that PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox are all still big enough that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
You know, when one of the big three buys
the other,
you know. One of the big three buys, you know, one of the other big three, that is like things change there. But this isn't a Disney buying 20th Century Fox moment. This is
correct.
This is, you know, don't get me wrong. Bethesda is huge. Bethesda is a gigantic company.
Yeah.
But
I still think that they overpaid a little bit. Microsoft overpaid with Bethesda, 7-point-something billion.
Like they weren't at the top of their game when they bought it, I think is the issue. Like maybe Bethesda at their peak, like at the we just brought out Skyrim and we've just announced Fallout 4. That is maybe like that price could have been a bit more justified. But I think what they're looking at now is they're looking at Bethesda as the future of the reason to buy the Xbox.
Yeah.
Which I think is going to work for them. But yeah, like money side, who knows how that stuff works in terms of profitability because they have their hands in so many pies.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Yeah.
So it's going to be so difficult to tell.
Moving on from this one. This one comes, keeping it connected to this one comes by way of Sammy Barker over at Push Square, who says, you won't have to wait too long for Stalker 2 on PS5. 3-month time exclusive, he reckons. So as they did announce that it may have been an exclusive, Stalker 2. So this is what Sammy Barker says on Push Square. Stalker 2 was one of the standout games shown during Microsoft's E3 2021 briefing this weekend. But it won't take long to find its way to PS5. Leaked documents published as part of the lawsuit between Apple and Epic Games have revealed earlier in the year that the release is, quote, 3-month console exclusive, end quote. So unless anything changes behind the scenes, it's possible you'll be playing it on Sony's system as early as late July, following its 28th of April release date on PC and Xbox. Okay, that's fine, but Xbox still get that up the ante. Like they can turn around and be like, let's extend this contract. They can do it.
Yeah.
Look at Final Fantasy.
Done with Final Fantasy. Yeah.
Like it's not. It becomes one of those things where okay, cool, that's fine, but you've kind of, in a way, these leaked documents have kind of put that out there, and Mr. Spencer can be like, so it's only 3 months now. Let's extend that by another 6.
Yeah.
There goes that. So yeah, that's fine, but Xbox still have the lead. That's the problem. So
and they don't even have to announce, you know, when those contracts get extended. Like I remember, like when Final Fantasy VII Remake came out, like people, like it came out that it was about a year. It was going to be a year exclusivity, and they didn't announce that they had extended that by another 6 months for Remake Integrate. Correct. That only came out like in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
And so
like the box art.
Yeah, right. And it was it's funny because that game feels like a de facto PlayStation exclusive at this point because it's just been connected to I'm playing Final Fantasy, I'm playing that on PlayStation.
Yeah.
And if they wanted to increase the exclusivity for Stalker, they could make that game feel like an Xbox, PC, Microsoft game.
Correct, yeah. To wrap up the Microsoft portion of the show, this one comes by way of Sammy Barker over at Pushko as well, who says, Sony bigwigs congratulate Xbox for E3 2021 showcase. I won't read the entire article, but a couple of tweets were put out. One from Herman Hulse, who said, congrats to Phil Spencer and the whole team on a great showcase. Great time to be a gamer. And then Mr. Shuhei Yoshida himself. Congratulations to Phil, Bethesda, Aaron Greenberg, Major Nelson, and IO Cat on the great show today. Cool. It's plain, you know, it's plain as day. Xbox had a great presentation. Sony throwing in their hat in there and going, hey guys, awesome job. Congratulations.
Nice one, yeah.
Where the fuck were you? So yeah, no, it's again one of those things where I just pulled up the next article and I'm looking at the title and I'm just like, oh god, they just kind of smacked me in the face again. So before I kind of conclude everything, this one comes by way of Adam Bankhurst over at IGN, who says Xbox Game Showcase Extended announced with Ninja Theory, Obsidian, Rare, Double Fine, and more. And the showcase will be this Thursday, which will be this Friday in Australia, probably like at sometime 2 a.m. in the morning or something, 3 a.m. by the looks of it, actually, by conversion. So, more Xbox. They're really kicking PlayStation in. I take this phrase from Ryan Betson of our partnering PlayStation podcast from For the Players. I take this quote. They're really kicking PlayStation in the dick right now and going, look at you, stay down. So this is just really, like, as a PlayStation fan, this is really heartbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like, you
Who
know, like,
wins in this scenario? Xbox.
Yeah, Xbox do, right? Like anybody that's got a series.
Let's break down the Square Enix presentation real quick.
Sure.
Because there wasn't that many big announcements. Thanks to James Barrick over at Press Start, who has a great breakdown of the entire thing. But I'm gonna kind of just read through some of the titles that they announced, and we'll get a bit of a takeaway because we've got another article that's connected to this. What's up? You got this big smile.
We'll get there.
I know. I'm gonna leave the one I think you're thinking about till the end of this.
Okay.
But maybe. I don't know. I don't know if this is the one. But anyway, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Cool. It looked okay. Final Fantasy remaster treatment is basically the Final Fantasy Pixel remaster. There's an article that's connected to this, which basically I'll get into in a second. Legend of Mana looks awesome.
Yeah.
Marvel's Avengers expansion, Black Panther. Okay. Yeah. Hitman Sniper. The Shadows give Agent 47 the flick. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Near Reincarnation is the mobile game on Android and iOS. It's available now. Oh, sorry. You can pre-register for the beta now. Yep. Final Fantasy VII: The First Soldier is the Battle Royale mode on Final Fantasy VII, which I never thought I'd be saying, but okay, cool.
Only on mobile platforms.
There you go. Only on mobile platforms, which is weird. Babylon's Fall. I'm going to stop here.
Okay.
What did you think of Babylon's Fall?
Look at how they massacred my boy. I was so excited. And then it's like, it's another fucking live service game. Oh, God.
I kind of had the feeling that this may have been the one as well. But yeah, Babylon's Fall looked awful.
Honestly, it was the whole conference for me.
I am disappointed because it looked rough. And yeah, like you, I was really looking forward to it. It's once again a service title from Platinum Games, and I expect more from this development studio. They have released some of the some legendary titles.
Absolutely,
they have a legacy, and a lot of people look up to that studio. But the fact that they're releasing that garb, oh boy. And
it feels like a Square mandate, right? It feels like Square going, hey, apparently we have a minimum of 4 live service games going at any given moment, and you got to be one of them or something. It was really, really odd. Yep. It was really strange.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of strange, Nice segue. Life is Strange Remastered is getting a release as well on September 30th, 2021. Life is Strange is one of my favorite games of all time, dude. Like I said, I love anything to do with time. And the time twisting adventure, as well as getting an overhaul, a remaster, better lip syncing apparently in the first one, which is something that I totally down for. Graphical upgrade. It's not much of a graphical upgrade in terms of like, oh, we're building it from the ground up. No, it's more of a polish, a cut and polish, which is very cool. But this game was emotional turmoil when I played it for the first time. What about you? What are your thoughts on Life is Strange getting a remaster?
Like, I think it's great. Like, a lot of people really love those games. It's like, it's super, super popular, obviously, in like, you know, the queer scene as well. It's really, really, really loved in a lot of spaces. I'm not a Life is Strange person only in terms of like that style of game that like it's the same reason I never got into Telltale games. Like that, the way they tell that story is not a way that I super get engaged with stories. But that being said, the Life is Strange ones were the best ones that I played in terms of telling that episodic story, like genre. Those ones definitely did it more than any Telltale game did. And so, like, I'm glad they got they're getting some love. Yeah,
one of my former hosts that I used to talk about Life is Strange with on the constant, we used to always say, Life is Strange, don't nod, out Telltale in terms of that game. It's really, it does take the formula that Telltale kind of established with, you know, Walking Dead and everything else, but they've kind of just, they ripped apart that foundation and built up this brand new, more of an extension of it. And it really does feel original when you play it. I cannot speak highly enough of Life is Strange. Definitely pick up the title upon its release on September 30th. And then once you do that and you play it, check out Dash and Holmesy's Life is Strange episode that we got right now on our YouTube channel. promotional, man. I'm shameless. And of course,
a plug master.
A look at Life is Strange: True Colors, which is also out later this year as well. What do you think of the reveal? Not so much the reveal, more of a look into True Colors. What do you think of that?
I thought it looks interesting. Like, I would have to play it to really get a grasp of, you know, the kind of things that they're trying to tell. I think it's, I hope that the powers, I mean, obviously this was like a big showcase on the powers. But I hope the powers aren't the front seat of this one, because empathy is not a superpower. Anybody can be empathetic.
I agree.
So I hope there was a good conversation inside that game about, like, I don't need to have superpowers to do the right thing a lot of the time.
I agree.
I think that would be a really good conversation to have while in that game. Like I once again, I don't know how well I'm going to play it and stuff.
As much as I love Life is Strange, I've never been a fan of its sequels.
Right.
Not Before the Storm, and not number 2. Did not like either. Life is Strange, the first one, amazing game. The rest of them, not so much. And they can... So, look, I'll give True Colors a go, obviously. I really want it to be just as good. Do I have hopes for it? No. So, we'll see anyway. But let's talk a little bit about the final title that was shown. Chaos. Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin. From the people that bought you, DMC, Devil May Cry.
Yep.
Man, oh man. Could this trailer not chaos enough? But could it not cause enough chaos as well?
Yeah,
Jesus Christ. What did you take away from this?
When we were getting towards the end of this trailer, before they announced what it was and where it was going, I assumed it was going to be a Switch game until they said play it now on PlayStation 5. And when I saw that, I went, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm glad Nomura has made more boys. I think he's just, like, his mind is wild in many great and terrible ways.
Yeah.
This game looks like it's going to be honestly, I hope this game is going to be so bad it's good. I hope.
Yeah, well, that's what I hope
It's going to
for.
be terrible.
Yeah.
That I'm going to get way into it. I don't know. I'm tentatively excited for like some really bad game.
Yeah, this does look what you said. It does give that energy so bad that it's good. Now, I'm going to say this. I actually like DMC Devil May Cry.
Sure.
I am in the minority. I know that the game was polarized, especially like look, they tried rebooting Devil May Cry, and it was a polarizing moment where people were like, "We didn't want that. We just want Devil May Cry back. Please, can you stop doing that?" And now, not only have they kind of said, "Okay, let's double down. Let's take what made Devil May Cry or DMC Devil May Cry so cheesy and put it into Final Fantasy." And not only that, it's going to be based in Final Fantasy 1's lore.
Wait, is it?
Yeah,
I didn't catch that.
This is supposed to be that's why they got Origin attached. This is supposed to be based in Final Fantasy 1. Why?
I need a minute. Right. Okay. Great. Hey, go off that cliff. Go all the way off that cliff. Like, you know, and they've been towing that line a little bit lately anyway.
Yeah.
Without going into spoilers, the ending of Final Fantasy VII remake goes off that cliff a little bit as well, to the point where if Sora, Donald, and Goofy showed up at the end of the game, I wouldn't have been surprised.
Yeah.
You know, like, look, if they're going to get really weird and bad with Final Fantasy, like, I don't mind, because they're still putting out good Final Fantasies at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, they're still putting out remakes. They're still putting out, like, I'm pretty excited for 16. A lot of people love 14. You know, like, those, like, true Final Fantasy games are coming out. If they want to do some good and some bad, like, I'm here for that. I'm totally here for that.
Speaking of magnanimous train wrecks that are attached to this one comes by way of Sammy Barker over at Push Square, who says, "Chaos! Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origins exclusive PS5 demo is broken."
Yep.
So, I downloaded the demo with intention of giving a preview on the website, because I was speaking to the people, the kind folk over at Bandai Namco about it. And I was like, cool, I'm going to preview this and I'll send it your way. And they were like, cool. I can't boot the title because it says that it's corrupted on my system. And I was like, oh man, maybe my download stopped or something. Oh, whatever, I'll re-download it again. Nope. And I went to Twitter and everybody's complaining about it. And then I went to my friend and he's like, hey, have you been able to access the Final Fantasy? No, I haven't been able to access it. Nobody has.
No. Not a soul.
Yeah. So nobody has been able to access the title. There was a tweet that was put out by the official Twitter account. I can't believe they actually... What pisses me off to the point, and that makes it hilarious, is that they had the time to get verified on Twitter between the time I followed the account to now, instead of fixing their freaking demo. This tweet comes by way of FF Origin, which is the official Twitter account of the title, that states, "We're aware of issues being experienced while trying to download and play Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin trial version. We're working to resolve this issue and we'll tweet an update as soon as we can. We appreciate your patience." That was tweeted yesterday morning. Yeah. So January 14th at 7:25 a.m. It is now January 15th, almost 8 p.m. in Australia, Australian Eastern Standard Time. And the demo still doesn't work.
Why is it out? Yeah. like at what point did someone go, hey, this doesn't launch? We need to push this back a few days, a week, who knows, however long. Like, you know, say, hey, demo coming next week. No one's gonna go, oh, why isn't the demo out today?
Yeah, exactly.
But the fact that a demo out today and it doesn't work is far worse than, like, you know, demo out in a week.
There was a nice burn also by the Kaz Hirai CEO account. Sorry, everyone. Sorry, everyone. The Stranger of Paradise demo is not running PS5 because the console is not backwards compatible with PS3 games.
So good. Never misses.
Burn, mate. Put some aloe vera on that one. You're out. So, no, if it could not be more of a train wreck, this demo that doesn't even... that doesn't even load the game on PS5 has been... Like, it was touted right at the end of the reveal trailer.
What are they doing? I know.
Yeah. that's basically the good portion of E3. We've got a couple of articles here also reflecting a few other things. So once again, bouncing back to Babylon's Fall. This one comes by way of Robert Ramsey over at Push Square. It says, Babylon's Fall gets smashed with dislikes upon its gameplay return. And so it should. He goes on, Babylon's Fall, the upcoming action RPG developed by Platinum Games and published by Square Enix, has finally returned to the fray with a brand new gameplay trailer. However, the reaction to said gameplay trailer has not been positive. On the official Square Enix YouTube channel, the video has been bombarded with dislikes, and while it's not quite as bad over on the PlayStation channel, it's hard to ignore the negative ratio. We've already discussed why we... while we're sour on it. It's now, if the message isn't clear yet, they need to delay that game.
Yeah.
Maybe even not do it.
It's like at that point, like at this point now, those decisions have been made. They are finalized, and the game is just not going to be what anybody wanted it to be. Yeah. I went back and I watched that reveal trailer after I watched the re-showing the other day, and there's one player character in the entirety of that reveal trailer. You're just one person. Yep. And like the key art shows 4 people. Yep. But I don't understand how they went from that product to live service, multiple players happening at the same time. I'm assuming with an online element so you can play with other people. It's just like nobody wanted that from this game. I'm not sure why why Square is getting Platinum to make this version of that game.
It just does not look like a Platinum game or up to standard or up to par of a Platinum game. And it's baffling that they would be like, okay, let's make a clay model game. Like, let's just make everything look like a bad painting.
Yeah, and like, the initial reveal had that style, but it was in a different tone. It wasn't as heavy on some of that stuff.
Yeah,
and it didn't. I didn't have any complaints about that first trailer. I thought the first trailer looked great.
Yeah,
and now I'm like they massacred my boy.
Make Babylon's Fall in Minecraft.
Yeah, like it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just going to play Nier instead, I guess.
Oh, man, why haven't you? It's honestly going to be the better experience, man, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, anyway, this is another one that's a little bit baffling. This one comes by way of Sammy Barker over at Push Square, who says, Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster isn't on PS5 and PS4, and fans are baffled. Square Enix announced Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster during its livestream earlier this week, but fans are baffled by the publisher's platform decisions. The trailer, which was a near 50% dislike ratio on YouTube, shows how classic RPG Final Fantasy through Final Fantasy VI are getting a re-release, but on PC and smartphones only. And many had expected this to deploy on consoles as well. This is a quote, "This is like finding a lotto ticket and realizing it expired yesterday," end quote, one poster wrote. Quote, "The best part about this trailer is the punch to the gut at the very end," end quote, added another, referring to the platform logos at its conclusion.
Yeah.
I mean, the trailer looked clean, right? I was like, okay, cool. This looks all right. But then when they were like, it's not coming to PlayStation, I was like, whoa, hold on. Why?
Yeah.
So there's no real clear explanation.
So what I've read is that so the versions of these games are the DS versions of the games, which are GB, or like it's
okay.
I'm not sure the exact platform it was originally on, but they basically had the original versions everybody loved. A lot of people really liked those games and had really good pixel art. And then they brought out another version of them, which was a smoothed version of some different pixel art. And then this version is that version without the smoothing. So it's raw pixels, but it's not the raw pixels that they used for the original version of the game. It's a different redone version of raw pixels, and apparently it doesn't look nearly as nice as the original version.
Oh, great.
And so I think what they're trying to avoid is people putting them on big TVs.
Yeah, of course.
Because I don't think it's going to look very good, which is a shame because like I was looking at that going like, awesome. I would love to have 6 more Final Fantasy games on the Switch, for example.
Yeah.
but like the fact that it's mobile and PC is really strange. It's very, very odd.
Yeah. Jezz, the final story of the night comes by way of Sam Loveridge over at Games Radar, who says Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy will not have DLC or microtransactions. Our game is designed to be a complete experience from day one. This is really good news. So he goes on, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy will not receive any DLC or feature microtransactions. Developer Eidos Montreal has confirmed. At a press event, Mary DeMal, I believe that's how you pronounce it, executive narrative director at Eidos Montreal, stated that the game wouldn't be getting any DLC and that there would be no microtransactions on offer within the title. Quote, there isn't going to be any DLC for this game. There isn't going to be any microtransactions. Quote. Yeah, that's great.
Literal.
Moves on. She goes on, quote, and that's because for us, it's very important that on day one, when players get this game, they can have access to everything there is about this game and to experience it. So right off the bat, they can get all the costumes or the outfits that are available. They can find all the abilities as they progress throughout the game. It's all there, end quote. Okay, I just want to say that the Guardians of the Galaxy game is copping a bit of flack at the moment across social media. And I can understand why, in a sense, because let's face it, Avengers was, it was just not that great.
Not good at all.
No, and the issue is, well, first of all, it's not a Square Enix game, so this is a completely different development studio taking a hold of Guardians, so that's fine.
No, it's not. Eidos worked on Avengers.
Oh, that's right, they did too. Oh shit. Yeah. So okay, cool. I got to. Okay. But the thing is, once again, it's just the fact that the flack that it's receiving is based on the positioning of the trailer in the presentation, I believe, right at the start, and then how much of the time it took to get. Like, we didn't care. We didn't need 20 minutes of Guardians.
Yeah, sure didn't.
And it really just kind of soured the whole entire Square presentation.
Yeah, and like I don't think this game looks very good.
No.
Actually, like I'm really not excited for it, and I'm a huge Marvel person. Like I've been a Marvel person for such a long time.
Yeah.
Most of my life, honestly, I've been reading comics, like Marvel comics.
Yeah.
And when that Avengers game came out, I was heartbroken, and I'm looking at this going like, this just isn't what I think these games should be. This looks better than Avengers, but like only in the sense that it's not a live service game. I don't know. Like they showed off too. I don't want to say too much because we didn't really get like a whole.
Well, it wasn't too much, but it was just like
it's too long.
Too long,
just so long.
Yeah. I don't know why it took up so much of a great portion of this presentation. When really, honestly, I walked away with nothing from that.
Yeah, and like they weren't showing me more and more exciting things. It was just like there was a reveal trailer, there was a gameplay chunk, and then there was another trailer. Yeah. They should have just like give me the gameplay chunk and then give me like the final trailer at the end or something. Like it was really weirdly paced, and I just don't think the game looked good enough to warrant that much about it.
See, here's the issue right now with the Marvel properties and everything else in terms of like translating it to games. The reason that it's so popular in movies right now is because of the actors that are attached to those characters and how they portray them, right? To kind of take away that origin almost of those actors pushing forward, like basically giving life to those characters and injecting their own personality into them. That's why, like Star-Lord, Chris Pratt's Star-Lord is so well revered within, a Marvel fandom right now. But when you get an original take from it, that they're like, oh, we took it from the comics. It's like, did you really? It doesn't. The character Star-Lord does not look anything like Star-Lord from the comics.
Yeah, this is movie. This is totally movie Guardians. Like Gamora looks like comic Guardians, but like for the most part, they look like their movie counterparts.
Yeah,
and like I do wonder how much of that is like a mandate from Disney. I do wonder how much that they are told like
Disney.
Oh, like I'm sure, and I think it's hurting these games because they can have alternate costumes and stuff, and they can have comic appearances and other alternate versions of these characters, and that's all good and well. But the ones that they're really showing off just look like the. I'm going to use this phrase a lot of people have used on Twitter, and I think it's the perfect phrase. They look like the porn versions of the characters.
Exactly. But here's the thing, right? Xbox just announced the Sea of Thieves expansion with Captain Jack Sparrow and a lot of the characters from Pirates. A lot of the counterparts look like their movie counterparts, which should be a likeness property that Xbox and Rare would have had to pay a lot of money for because... But I don't know if there's loopholes or anything that says, oh, that doesn't look like Johnny Depp. It looks clearly like Johnny Depp's...
Well...
Go on.
Well, I do wonder because they have done Disney Infinity in the past, and
Right.
I wonder if they have documents saying it has to look like this, but it can't look like this.
Yeah.
Like I do wonder how much of because I remember like the first reveal for the Avengers game, like they sure did look a lot like the actors at that
They
point.
did,
and
yeah.
They did change them.
Yeah.
So it's I think it's different when it's just like people. But yeah, like I don't know.
There'd be a likeness fee to it attached to it, but the thing is,
absolutely.
That's where I'm saying like the Pirates one, obviously with Captain Jack Sparrow looking a lot like Johnny Depp, and a few other characters looking like the people that portrayed them in the films. Then you jump to these Marvel games and they look nothing like the people that portrayed them in the films. It's like, where's the disparity there? Why is there a difference? I don't understand. They're both Disney properties. Like, what's going on there?
And I think that the best actual case for this is if you ever played Battlefront 2, the movie characters in that game, you can tell which ones they have the likeness for and which ones they don't because like they do not have Harrison Ford likeness.
Correct.
And what they did is they made Han Solo just not Harrison Ford, and it is so uncanny how close it is to Harrison without it actually being Harrison.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It like. This just doesn't fit for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Jezz, that was E3 this year, at least up until Bandai. So Bandai Namco, as of recording this, Bandai Namco and Nintendo have yet to do their showcases. I'll be discussing them tomorrow night with the boys from the House of Mario, so that'll be interesting. But what are your closing thoughts on E3 this year, man?
What a weird conference. What a just bizarre time.
Yeah.
I feel like it hasn't started because usually E3 starts when the conferences end, but now the conference is in the middle of the week. And so it's kind of just like, okay.
Yeah. And honestly, the takeaway from E3 this year has honestly been, man, they should have just not done it this year and just waited till next year.
Yeah. Like, and look, this is totally the first major E3, the first major games conference, honestly, that has been like right in the warpath of COVID. So obviously we're not going to get the huge announcements and the huge shows that we would have in E3's past, but It's just a very odd, because like everybody was still acting like it was. Everybody on the publicly was going like, yeah, we're going to have a showcase. We're going to show a ton of stuff and it's going to be great. You're going to love it. And then like Gearbox is a showcase and it's terrible.
I think it's
Square to a showcase.
It's a way to fluff the campaign to kind of ramp up excitement, heighten anticipation. And that's great. I mean, who doesn't want to feel like it's Gamers Christmas again? But
it's totally right.
An all digital E3 has just been kind of a bit bland, and I think that they would have been better calling it off and kind of spreading it like last year a little bit. I mean, I did miss the idea of having all conferences come together in 1 week. That was what was missing last year, but by spreading it during the summer of games, that the way that Jeff Keighley did last year was a success, especially during times where people have to stay home. And
absolutely,
but this year's E3. Great attempt, I will say, at bringing back the magic of E3, and I feel like they kind of have. It's not there yet, and whether or not we have to do it again next year, it's a great start, but it hasn't. It's almost like, okay, cool, you're revving the engine to keep it warm, but we haven't taken off yet. So that's just how I feel.
Yeah, and I do wonder. I think E3, like as the conference being run this year, I think was run quite poorly. And so I do wonder if next year, like I know in the past, like Phil Spencer has said, like that he still genuinely loves E3, and that's all good and well. But I do wonder if they're just going to all start doing their own thing, like Sony and EA do now. Like I do wonder, like the moment Microsoft and Bethesda together like walk out that door, the clock is ticking, I think, at that point.
PlayStation.
All right, Jezz, thanks to the kind folk over at PlayStation Australia. We got to sit down and check out Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Yep.
So you're further into this than what I am now, which is hilarious. Obviously, because of circumstances that happened. Like I was like, hey, Jezz. So full disclosure, we got the copy late last night of recording this.
Yes.
And I let Jezz know, hey, we got Ratchet. Jump in.
I get a DM from you last night at like 2 a.m. with like, hey, Jezz, you up? And I'm like, what's going on?
And I was like, if you want to jump on and start playing, like, I'm going to bed, I'll get up early and I'll play. I'm like, yeah, cool. Wake up. So I wake up today and I'm doing my work and everything. We get started and Jezz is telling me, I'm about a few worlds. I'm like, man, I'm only about an hour in.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk a little bit about our first impressions of the game. I think I played enough to kind of get a grasp of what's happening, and kind of there's obviously a lot more that happens under the guide of kind of what we can and can't talk about. Obviously, like Jezz can talk about like whatever now because the embargo's up, but it's more that we won't spoil anything for you guys. We'll just keep it light.
Yeah.
But there is a caveat. We are both still under a sort of embargo, which is I can't show you any footage.
Sure.
And I'm not going to risk it by even showing trailer footage. I don't want the messaging to kind of get muddled there. That like, oh, what, they're showing footage. So I don't want to kind of do that. I don't even know how IGN posted 13 minutes of gameplay when embargo states that we're not allowed to do it until Friday. Anyway,
Papa Ziff has got his own deal.
Yeah, pretty much. So Jezz, give me your first impressions of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Oh, it's just a delight.
Yeah.
It's just a gorgeous, fun, like enjoyable video game. Like a video game as video game though. Like it is it's a celebration of Ratchet as well in a way that really caught me off guard. Just for really brief context, Ratchet and Clank was my first. Ratchet and Clank 3 was my first ever console game, bundled with my PS2. Yeah. And I have grown up on that series, and I've played all of them and beaten all of them, time and time again. I'm like a huge Ratchet and Clank fan. If you're watching the video and you look just over my shoulder, there's a little Clank pop vinyl right there, and behind him is a little Ratchet.
Nice.
This is just a outstanding Ratchet game.
Yeah.
Like the visuals are stunning. The guns are really fun. The move set, the traversal is really great too. You've got like the dash ability. Yeah, like the portals as well. Like they're really good to use in combat.
Yeah. I love it.
I don't know. It's just kind of like I don't have a single complaint so far.
No, neither do I. And that's so good because the series prior to its reboot on PlayStation 4 obviously started to kind of take a nosedive in terms of appeal. A Crack in Time was fantastic. But from that point forward, I felt like they kind of lost their creative trajectory was just kind of like nosediving. And they really needed to kind of step back and go, okay, we need to kind of not continue where we've been with Ratchet and revitalize it in a way. And I think if anything, Ratchet and Clank on PS4 revived that idea of going forward with this reboot series, and taking a little more serious in terms of dedicated design for the title. And it looks marvelous. Like, this is, I think this may be like, might be a far stretch, but this might be PlayStation 5's best looking title thus far.
Yeah, it's harder to compare because like they're putting out titles which you can't compare like directly, right? Like they're putting out like games that look amazing in their own like specific ways. Like the Demon Souls remake by Bluepoint looks absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. But that's going for like its own different style. Ratchet and Clank is this obviously very cartoony, animated style, but like the amount of still like detail in the world, the technical effects that are going on, the physical effects, the particle effects, the animations, and everything in between. Like it's all. Like I would be pretty happily saying that I think this is the most visually stunning looking game that's on the console as well. Honestly,
yeah. What are your thoughts on the gameplay loop itself at the moment? Because you got it's pretty much standard Ratchet and Clank. From the beginning at least. From what I've played so far of it, it's pretty much standard Ratchet and Clank. We have a few additions that I'd say are a lot of fun, but more of the melee combat and also ranged combat in terms of artillery that you have in terms of guns and everything. What are your thoughts on some of that combat loop and gameplay loop? In terms of 3D platforming and everything else.
Yeah, like I think they've expanded it in ways that make sense for the series. They have looked at the lens of this game and go, okay, what do we need to do to make it feel like a new modern take on the game? And I think the addition of the dash is honestly such a really great thing for this game, because you just have that extra level of flexibility in combat encounters to get out of the way. But that also reflects in the way the enemies attack you as well. They are a lot faster now. They are running up on you way faster than they used to.
Yeah.
Because the game is built around this dodge mechanic. So I think it fits into that slot really, really well.
Yeah.
Similarly, there's a sprint in this game, but it's very it doesn't really do anything. You run faster, but you can't attack while you're doing it. A little bit, but not any meaningfully faster. It's very strange. Unless maybe later on we're going to get some jet boots that replaces the sprint.
Yeah.
I could see that happening.
Yeah. It's obvious that it's there for a reason, but
yes.
We're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about yourself? Are you feeling how are you feeling with guns and jumping and all that stuff?
So my only complaint thus far is my limitation. Obviously only been an hour in, I've only got a couple of weapons to use at the moment. The gun's fine. It's it's a Ratchet of old, so it's there. And
yes.
My favorite actually to use is the grenades, the glove that you get and piff the grenades at the enemies, which is really, really cool. I'd say that my favorite thing thus far, obviously, is the way it seamlessly transitions between in-game to cinematic.
Just so good.
There were moments there I'm like, am I playing?
Yeah.
And the way it does it though is so I've never seen a game do it that fluid before. And
there's only one I can think of.
Which one?
The opening cutscene of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
When you jump out the window and then suddenly you realize you're supposed to swing. Same studio.
That sets the archetype. So really, they've kind of set that had a baseline there when they did that. So and Ratchet and Clank kind of they've exponentially kind of pushed that now, and really shows in A Rift Apart. And here's the thing, I love the narrative that they're going for here. Obviously, kind of keeping it, with Nefarious and all that. It's really, really cool. I like the fact that it's still funny. It's still really good. The humor is there. The repartee between Ratchet, Clank, and Nefarious is still so good. The writing is really well done. But because I've only played so much of it, I really haven't formed a complete opinion other than what I've played so far. It's really good. I would highly recommend it. I still will say that it's the best looking game that I've played thus far on PS5. I know that it can be argued, especially for somebody who's only played about an hour of it. But you've played, how many hours have you played now?
About 3
hours
all up. Yeah.
So you're a little further than what I am. Of those 3 hours, what are your what could you gauge of it? And I know it's going to be a little bit spoilery for me, but tell us tell me the details.
Oh, just like I think there's a lot of work done into like a lot of like the weather effects and like like when a ship is landing, it's got jets that are keeping it obviously staying in the air. Like those jets are like sending out like what feels like a lot of force, and you feel a lot of that force in the rumble of the DualSense. Like they do so much haptics with this game, but not to the almost too much extent that that Astrobot did, which I still loved it in that because it was a showcase. But they're really dialing it in like somewhat subtle ways. There was one moment that I specifically remember, which was Rivet and Rivet is at a table basically, and she was talking and she like slammed her fist on the table, and there was just like a slight little bump inside the controller, and I felt it and I went like, oh fuck, that's so smart. They're so smart.
Yeah. Those DualSense haptics really do make a big difference.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And I mean, like, I hate to bring up another title during this insight, but Returnal, when they kind of like pushed it with the pitter patter of rain, and you can feel it in the haptics.
Yes. Yeah.
When I started when I started Rift Apart last night, and I like the very first thing that you do is when you say, okay, press X to title screen, it comes up with the menu, and you feel that rumble in the control. I was like, oh god, that rumble there. I'm like, oh yes, they're focusing on implementing the haptics with in game, and like this is going to be one of those titles that you can really feel it. You're going to get immersed by haptics and audio together, which is what Cerny was alluding to a few years back in his PS5 presentation, his ASMR presentation, that this is going to be one of those titles that they really try and do a deep dive on.
Absolutely,
haptics and audio, yeah.
And it's great because they've had enough time to sort of build some of those frameworks and those like standards for what it can be like to have this for like any game basically. So like I'm glad that Ratchet is this far in, as opposed to like it could have been done as like the test, like Insomniac's going to do a Ratchet & Clank game for the PS5 so they can test out what the PS5 is. And they've already done that for Spider-Man. So like they already have a really good idea of what is what it's like to develop for this console. It's great.
Yeah. We'll have more details of Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart in a few weeks. I'll obviously have like our full impressions of the game once we've completed it. But once again, huge thanks to PlayStation Australia who provided the review code on that one. All right, Jezz, time for the drop. Is there anything interesting that is coming out over the next fortnight?
Yeah, there's a few known games, I think, which is pretty good that are coming out this week. We got the Dark Alliance game, which is the Dungeons and Dragons game.
Nice,
I believe. That game is coming out 22nd of June, 24 on PS4 and PS5.
Yep.
Fallen Knight on PS4 coming June 23rd. We have the Legend of Mana on PS4 coming to PS4 on June 24th.
Right.
You look like you're excited for that one.
I am actually, to be honest. I love the Mana series, so yeah, really excited.
Right. Alex Kidd in the Miracle World DX also June 24th.
Yeah.
Scarlet Nexus coming PS4, PS5 June 25th. I'm pretty excited for that game.
Oh hell yeah, man!
Like you are hyped for
it. Dude, I cannot wait. It's so good.
And finally, Ever Forward on June 29th, both PS4 and PS5.
Fantastic. That's the drop for the next fortnight. All those games are kindly provided by VG247.com. So, guys, if you didn't know, this has been Operation PlayStation, DashGamer.com's dedicated PlayStation podcast, where we dive deep and dirty and discover what the latest and greatest PlayStation have to offer in 2021. You can follow Mr. Jeremy Bradich over at Obi1Jezz. You can follow myself on Twitter at DashGamer. Don't forget to follow the show over on Anchor, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. Give us those cheeky 5-star ratings. They surely help us out. And also catch the VOD over on DashGamer.com and on YouTube. Subscribe, hit that bell, give us a like, leave us a comment. They surely help us out. Yeah, we're not on SoundCloud anymore, but we're on Anchor now. So, yeah, guys, thank you so much once again. Thanks, Jezz. Welcome aboard, man.
Thank you.
Very first official show. Second in the lineage of the Hush Hush first episode and obviously the first main show, man. How do you feel that you went today?
Oh, it's like, look, I think it went really well. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's like, it's great to be here. I'm super excited to do this regularly.
Fantastic. Yeah, me too, man. I'm really happy you're here.
It's gonna be a good time.
Well, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yes, you absolutely will.
Fantastic. And we'll catch you guys in another 2 weeks. But until then, this operation is complete.
dashgamer.com